We are live. Kawasaki Ninja, a 2013 model here, and customer wants to basically replace the battery and do chain and sprockets. They also want to do the brake lines, but the price that I originally quoted them for was if we're going to be replacing the stock lines, which this is an ABS model. The line OEM lines, we could essentially replace them. It'd be a lot easier, and for the price that I gave them to replace the lines up to that basically that fitting there, and then bleed the system. Um, Looks like the rear one, not sure exactly. I think it goes behind here. Let's take a look. So the rear one goes, you can see it like right there. There's a fitting. So basically we just loosen that, replace the brake line, bleed the system. And, the price that I was giving them was a pretty good price for doing that. But the kit that they gave me was basically to replace the lines all the way up. It's like an aftermarket brake line kit. And I didn't pay attention to it until, it came time to install it. They just gave me like a bunch of parts, and, I didn't look at it at the time, but that's not usually how it works anyways. Once you get the parts, it's like, okay, well, the price I gave you is for putting the original parts on to do put on the parts that you want, basically the gas tank, air box, the seat. Most of the rear section fairings have to come off to get access to those ABS lines, because the kit that they have mounts to the actual ABS pump, which is underneath the gas tank here. And then you'd route the lines down, which is a lot more work, probably like an extra 2 hours of work, probably, to, remove all the fairings, seat, tail section, to get access to the ABS pump to route those lines down the side of the bike. I think you also have to kind of move the radiator out of the way in order to do that, according to the instructions. So we're just going to go ahead and keep it simple, and we're going to be sticking with just doing the chain and sprocket assembly. Basically is what we're doing on this bike here. So I don't know if I can mount this. See if I can get like a good couple ways. Oh, looks like people are coming into the chat, or not the chat, but the live stream. Got 5 people. Woo! All right. Kind of lined up right where we need to be. So it's pretty straightforward to do chain sprockets on this bike. Let's see. Customer supplied this one right here. Looks like it's specific for their bike. 2007 through 2018. So I guess 2000, I put in the video title, 2012 through 2016. So if this will fit a 2007 through 2018, it's probably going to be, obviously for that. So let's see. First things first, where would I want to start? I'm probably going to want to start with removing the front sprocket cover. And just to give you guys an idea of the tools you're going to need, these are just like some of the basic tools. Use a cutoff wheel, grinder, 14 millimeter extension, 14 millimeter ratchet, impact, breaker bar, small breaker bar. Might need a bigger breaker bar for that if I have to. 17, this is for like the chain breaker. Have a chain breaker tool set right here. And then I think we're going to need some 12 millimeter opening wrenches. So we need this bad boy, this bad boy. I believe so. See if I got the right tools. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. All right. Cool. Very nice. Oh, look at that one. Looks like somebody already messed with this one right here. What's going on there? Oh yeah. Very nice. Okay. So yeah, first things first, before we start doing some crazy stuff, let's actually take out that cotter pin right there. So go ahead and put this actually, put that like that. Okay. This one has a light duty cotter pin. Probably fucking get that with my nail. These don't work. Oh, how about this one? Okay. Okay, cotter pin. And then I think it's a 30. Oh no. It's got to be a 32. So what is this? 32. All right, so we're going to use a 32 millimeter socket. See if my little daddy breaker bar can. Oh yeah, easy money. And we'll just kind of speed this up a little bit. Oh. Okay, and this should be loose. Kind of back these off a little bit. Oh, that one's actually spinning. The thread's a little boogered up. Somebody messing with this? They shouldn't have. Alright, so I'm basically backing the nut off so we can screw the adjustment bolt in. And I'll go ahead and do that here in a second. I already got a stand placed underneath. I don't know if you guys can see that. Got a stand, and then on this one, the exhaust system kind of protrudes a little below it, and you also have like a casing for the drain plug. So you're going to want to use a wooden block and place it to lift the bottom of the oil pan. It should be good, and you want to loosen up your rear axle nut just so you're not, I don't know, I like to do that before I actually start, loading it, so I'm not putting extra force on the bike. It's just supporting the weight of the bike, essentially. Okay. And I think we got it low enough, so that just kind of gives us an idea. All right, cool. Nicely set up. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove the front sprocket cover now before I get too carried away. But basically, I want to remove the front sprocket nut before I actually cut the chain, because usually that front sprocket nut's pretty tight, and it can be kind of a bitch to loosen it without the chain attached. And also, if you're using an impact, you don't want to be putting all that force on the transmission, so I'll leave the chain installed. But I'll go ahead and just close these off here. And I'm not sure if I got to take off the shifter rod linkage. Okay. I'll just put this in a little tray. Let's see, will the cover come off? Yeah, cover comes off without having to remove the shifter linkage, it looks like. So now, let's see what we got going on here. So front sprocket nut, there is a lock washer on it, and as you can see, that lock washer there needs to be bent back. So let me see what I got here. Harbor Freight Special. Maybe this one right here. See if I find a good place to mount up my camera. Oh, the wonders of moving a camera around while doing a live stream. Let's see if that works. kind of see. The hell's that from Sprocket? Oh no, it's hidden. Dang. Let's see, where else can I put this? Huh. I can put this. Good question. Sorry guys, trying to figure out a spot to mount the GoPro, the iPhone, so we can continue this live stream with this foot peg bracket. This foot peg. Oh yeah, there we go. Solid. I'll just take this right here. Just do a little tappy tap. So we don't have a new lock washer, so I'm going to try to do this without completely destroying it. It is kind of like a spring type washer as well, so sometimes in order to actually remove the tension off of it fully, you kind of gotta like chisel around that or tap back because it's loading pressure on the nut. But let's see, maybe we'll get lucky. I think I can lock onto that. I think that's a 27 millimeter if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 27 millimeter. And let's see here. Hopefully I don't have to use my air impact. See, did I bounce it off? Maybe just a little bit more. Use a flat punch. I think that should be good. If it doesn't come off, then I have to go get the impact gun, the air impact. Okay. I don't think this is going to come off. I'm probably going to break the adapter. Fuck no. Air impact and probably a little bit of heat. Shouldn't have to use heat. Whoa. Okay. Let's see if I can get this off using a air impact. Now I'm going to be going to measure 2. I don't know, that sounds like maybe enough air. Let's see. Let's give this a try. No, maybe not. Man, I think we need more air. Possibly a little heat. I might have to back off that washer just a little bit. That might be holding some of the pressure. It's kind of designed to do that. So when you reuse a washer, usually I want to put like a little bit of Loctite on it. Okay. Should probably have backed it off just a little bit more. I need more air pressure. 1 second. Just thinking of something. This might help as well. To very carefully apply just a little bit of heat to the nut. Heat up that nut. These nuts get pretty stuck onto the shaft. These Kawasaki's, some other bikes will do it too, but I've noticed these Kawasaki's happens every time. Very carefully, supplying just enough heat to the nut. Try to make that nut expand. Then hopefully our air compressor, it's building up right now, that should give us enough air pressure to hopefully blast this nut right off here and not have to put too much more energy into it. Sometimes it also helps. You can put the bike on a Kawasaki, you really can't. The gearbox really won't let you, I think, go past second gear. But on some bikes, you can go ahead and usually put it into like 6th gear, and then I'll usually hold the rear brake to kind of lock it up. But most Kawasaki gearboxes, transmissions, the way they're designed, can't really do that. At least without the engine running. Maybe if you like turned it on or something like that, and then put it into 6th gear. All right, let me see if that was enough heat. Very interesting. Fucking nut doesn't want to come off. Maybe more heat. Ugh. You know, it's also very possible spring washers kind of, I was trying to be easy on it, but it's possible I'm fighting the tension of the spring washer. Try to get this thing a lot hotter. Okay, try that. There we go. Damn, that nut does not want to come off. Ooh, hopefully I don't have to cut it off. Shouldn't have to. More air pressure. Damn, that's fucking crazy. Yep, good old Kawasaki shit for you. Nut doesn't want to fucking come. Try this. Alright, fuck it. I'm gonna go get my fucking Big Daddy breaker bar. Motherfucker. Okay, see if I can not get my ass kicked again. Big ass breaker bar. Maybe from it's overcoming the fucking torque of the clutch basket. Holy cow. Yeah, breaker bar is definitely not going to get that off. More heat and I don't know. Try more heat. So this wouldn't be my first time having the fuckery from a Kawasaki front sprocket nut. This is very common. Okay. Maybe let's try this again. I'm fucking budging a little bit. Holy cow. That's pretty freaking crazy. Huh. Well. Might have to cut off that front sprocket nut. It's probably seized on is what it is. You know, bike's a 2013. What, it only has, how many miles are on this thing? 18,000 miles, so, looks like, looks like the sprockets have been replaced at one point. What do they put on it? Fucking JB Weld? You can see a bunch of rust coming out of it, but that could be, you know, that could just be all the crap that's been built up over it. But usually, it's been replaced, so I feel like it should be pretty easy to come off. Yeah, I can see the thread pitch on it is, standard threads clockwise. So should be lefty loosey, righty tighty. What's everybody saying? Forgot about the crown trick. Heat it up good, then put the crown on the threads. I don't think I got a crown on me. Yeah, I got like a, what the hell is this? I got a China marker. It's not like really a crown though. It's for what I use for like marking metal when I'm welding, or glass or tile and shit like that. Let's see. Don't spray it with penetrating oil. Get it super hot and then impact it off. All right, fuck it. There's another guy I used to work with in the salvage yard. He would say that too, like, don't fucking hit with the penetrating oil because it kind of cools it off. But typically, in most cases, I've had good luck. But let's go ahead and try that. Let's try to get it kind of hot. Hit it with the impact. Kind of bubble. I can see a little bit whatever residual oil is on the end of the shaft right now. It's kind of bubbling on the nut. So, I mean, that tells me whatever Loctite is in there, I mean, that shit should be getting hot and bubbling almost if the oil's bubbling like that. Hold on. So it's getting hot. What it was there? Heat it up the shaft, not the nut. Heat up the shaft. I think I'm supposed to be heating up the nut. All right. Fuck it. Fire in the hole. Yeah! that's fucking hot. Holy shit. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Hold on, let's shut off the air compressor. All right, cool. That was like half the battle right there. Jesus. Let's go. I can go to sleep now. Oh, look, zero corrosion. No, it was probably just fucking on there really fucking tight. And I had to put down my purse and, you know, fucking open up the impact on it a little harder. It doesn't look like there's any Loctite on the threads, or is there? No? No, that's what it is. Probably just fucking, just really fucking tight. Interesting. Yeah. So now that you saw that, you guys can fucking go to sleep now, I guess, or whatever else it was that you guys were gonna do. That was the main finale. That's like the hardest part of the chain and sprockets on these fucking things. So now, go ahead and cut off the chain here. All right, sweet. Yep, the hardest part. All right. It's like a 40 gallon. It's supposedly 160 psi, and I had it cranked up to about 120. I mean, it's not like it's a giant, 100 gallon or 200 gallon tank or anything like that. And I think operating minimum, most, if I use it intermittently, it might go like drop to 90 after a while, but usually it floats like around 50 psi. With my air tool though, it's probably getting, that's just all it took, is just getting enough air pressure to, fucking loosen the nut up. It's that simple. And I don't fucking care either. It's just part of working on motorcycles. Sometimes it's a little easier, sometimes it's a little harder. That one was, just a little bit of required a little extra oomph. So now I'm gonna go ahead and cut off the chain. Let's see if I can go like right. I think like right there. Oh, almost got it. Bam. All right, sweet. All right, cool. No damage. Old chain off. Let's see. So now, kind of jack this up a little bit. Okay. There's the spacer. Oh. Okay. The electric impact should get the rest of these off right here. Okay. That's that. Let's see. A little bit of suspension clean, since that's the quickest stuff I have on hand right now. Don't necessarily like to use like carb cleaner. It's a little harsh. Oh, there's like all sorts of shit in there. Trying to get this machine surface, just wiped down of any crud. It's pretty clean. A little bit of residue, but not very much. Okay. Cool. Oh, damn. Let's see. Okay. Nice. It's a super light 43 tooth. All right. And then usually, since we're going to be reusing these, it's supposed to replace these nuts technically every time you do it. That's what you would do at the dealership. But sometimes we won't even do that at the dealership. We'll just use a little bit of medium strength Loctite. And I was kind of having a hard time. I need to go grab the service manual, figure out what a torque spec is, or I could just, kind of torque them until I like to, whatever is uber good. Let's see, people still going in the chat. What I miss? Hey, looking to weighted impact socket kit. If you struggle with that, it depends a lot if you want to spend. Must be nice to have a place to work with your bike and lift. So cold, 15 degrees today. Damn. Yeah, I mean, out here in California, it's I'm in Southern California, and the winds right now are like 30 to 50 mile an hour sustained here in the Inland Empire. It's pretty kind of not too far from the fires, probably about 30 minutes away from the fires, that have been happening down here. And today's another one of those events. Just gnarly wind. But yeah, it's nice to be in the shed. Kind of, helps out lift. Definitely don't have to be bending over as much. Out from the conditions, a little bit of nice lighting, tools on hand. Kind of just makes it a little bit easier to do the bare minimum and work on customers' bikes and my own personal bikes and stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Almost there. Old sprocket, new sprocket. So these are supposed to be ultralights. The thing about the OEM sprockets, what make them really nice is you see that rubber lip That rubber lip right there is basically acts as a dampener on the chain, and it quiets it as you're riding, and as extra slack starts to develop in the chain, it'll kind of quiet, and dampen that sound from the chain slap. When you use like one of these types of sprockets, yes, it is lighter. It's usually going to emit a little bit more noise. I'm not sure if it wears any differently compared to, say, the OEM sprocket, but I do notice that these are typically a little bit louder in noise compared to like the OEM sprockets. But yeah, that's pretty much that. I wonder, I kind of like torque specs. Be nice since I'm making a YouTube live. Can anybody find the torque specs? I have to go grab my other phone really quick and or check my computer. I know I have some service manuals. I'll have to check. If it says 2007 through 2018, I'm pretty sure I have like one of the older 636 service manuals, and I can look it up really quick and see what the torque spec is. Got my old Snap-on, one of these things right here. Figure out what it's going to take. Yeah. Yep. Anybody know what the torque spec is? Or am I going to have to go look it up? I guess since I'm the mechanic, I should go look it up, huh? Hold on. Just give me a couple moments. I'm going to go bust out the laptop really quick, and we will find out. Okay. Let's see. Here we go. 2013 Ninja 636. All right, so let's see, wheels, tires. Let's go to rear wheel. Let's see if it has a torque. So rear axle nut, 127 Newton meters. Let's see, doesn't it have? It's going to be under final drive. So rear sprocket, let's see, 7. It's going to be rear sprocket nuts are 59 Newton meters. You should replace them. 127. 59. What's the front axle is? What's MO? MO is molybdenum, apply molybdenum disulfide oil solution. Original, okay. So it doesn't want Loctite. And what's that front sprocket nut? Front sprocket nut number 5 is 147 Newton meters. Damn, it's a shitload of torque. 147. Okay, so 59, 127, 147. Copy. All right, I am back. I found torque specs. Rear, I believe, is 73 foot-pounds. I think the book is like 97. I don't know. I just read them in newton meters. The called for like 59 newton meters on the rear sprocket. The axle was 127 newton meters, and then the front sprocket nut was 147 newton meters. So it's a crap load of newton meters. It's only like 100 and something foot-pounds. Let's see, 59, I said. Come on. All right, cool. All right, time to go back to work. Hurry up and finish this bike. I got a CBR 600RR. It's going to be a pretty moderate restoration that I'm going to be doing to it. Okay. All right, cool. All right, cool. Kind of put these on by hand. Install the sprocket so the lettering or printing on the sprocket is facing outwards towards you. Surface is nice and clean. Just kind of put those on by finger. Okay. Should have a Sharpie around here somewhere. Aha. Go ahead. Okay. Put a little dot right there. All right, good enough. That's it. It's the rear sprocket. Okay, don't think I'm going to need this little baby torque wrench anymore. Go ahead and shut that off. We'll be needing the Big Daddy torque wrench here though, my Matco, here in a minute. So this sprocket, trash, don't need that. Axle, looks like it's pretty well greased. Looks like somebody had it apart recently. Somebody had it apart and kind of put a little too much grease, to be honest. It's pretty greased up. Just kind of wipe all the extra grease out of here. Because grease will attract dirt. Looks like they packed the bearings. These are sealed bearings, I think. Well, at least one of them is. Probably on the drive hub there's like an open bearing, but they looks like they pack a lot of grease in there. Okay, just wiping out the guides. Very nice. Kind of wipe off these spacers here. Maybe we'll apply a little bit of grease to these spacers. These things are pretty, at least to that one. The other one didn't fall out. Where's my grease at? Okay. A little bit of grease on the spacer. And just pop that back in. Let's see here. Can I get this set up? So looks like that's going to go facing that way. Shit, while we're at it, let's just go ahead and put a little bit of fresh grease on this axle. Looks like they kind of put a little too much anyways. So I usually go from like here to like right there, just because those portions are inside the swing arm there, so really don't need any grease. And the grease doesn't make the bearing spin any better or anything like that. The grease is just mainly to prevent corrosion. Like the same thing when I was reading the diagram or the torque specs for the front axle nut, it calls for the molybdenum disulfide, which is basically just a grease and oil solution. Not sure if you guys could hear me while I was reading the blueprints, service manual prints. All right, that's enough grease for my liking. Cool. All right. Throw this in there with our rear brake caliper. See if we can squeeze that on. Customer needs new rear brakes. Rear brakes got like 10% left. Okay. A little bit easier without the chain. Usually I'd have to be fighting a chain right now. Okay, something like that. This one's probably going to pop out as I put it in. Okay. Boom. Okay. And one other thing I'm going to do is these nuts were a little tight, so I'm just going to put a little bit of anti-seize on the adjuster nuts, just because these things right here are known on most bikes. They're just known to sometimes get kind of, water rust forms, dissimilar metals. This is an aluminum swing arm with the steel bolt, so sometimes they'll kind of get rusted in there, just prevents galling of the threads. So I'll do that, and then I'll kind of just thread these in almost all the way, just to kind of give the axle block, a good starting point. I'll go put a little bit on the other side as well. Kind of back this out. Okay, very nice. Wipe off the extra. Just thread those bad boys in there. And it'll be solid. Now it'll be good for like another couple of years having that anti-seize in there. Just because, like I said, they're sometimes prone to getting stuck in there, seizing up. Okay. Something like that. It's the washer and nut. Kind of full of grease too a little bit. Some people go kind of crazy with the grease. It's okay to have a little bit of grease just because this gets secured with the cotter pin. If it was a self-locking type of lock nut, you wouldn't want to have any grease or oil on the threads. But for this type, uses a safety pin or cotter pin to secure it. It's not really a big deal. All right, and now I'm thinking, oh, that glove has a hole in it. Go ahead and wipe this down. Okay, original. So technically you're supposed to replace this right here. But since we don't have one, we'll be reusing it and should be fine. Probably clean this out too, actually. Okay. It's like some type of preservative grease. Let's kind of wipe that off on these mating surfaces where the nut will be sealing. Okay. Boom, perfect fit. And so it was calling for like an oil solution on the, it was actually pointing towards the washer and the nut. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on both of them. Apply a little bit of grease. And then a little bit of oil. All right, cool. Wait, put this that way. Okay, should be good like that. Now time to put this chain on. Let me do a quick little cleanup. Should be a Master Link rivet type. see what's going on. Where are we at? There we go. Okay. Gonna try and put the chain on. Very nice. Try to be fancy and put it with the lettering facing so it's readable. Not super critical, but you know, just nice to do, I guess. Okay. Let's see where we're at. Huh. This is a stock fitting chain. Oh, look at that. I don't even think I gotta cut it. No, I don't think I have to. It's the correct length. Nice. Very nice. Okay. Let's go ahead and get the O-rings ready. Oh. There we go. Oh no. Dropped it. Where'd it go? There it went. All right, cool. Comes with a little packet of grease. Just kind of put a little bit of grease on there. All right, cool. Drop one. Drop two. A little bit more grease. All right, boom. All right. A little bit more on the ends there, and then place your two O-rings. That'll kind of hold it in place. Okay. Boom, hold that there. And basically what you want to do now is take a hammer and a pair of pliers and just smack that into place. I'm just kidding. Okay, so let's see. Chain kit. Mine uses a 14-17. It's two clamps. There's two of them on my kit. Some have them, some don't. There's a deeper groove and a shallower groove or channel. The shallower groove goes on the back side to hold the rivet heads in place, so you don't accidentally push them out during the pressing process. Let me kind of go like that. Just kind of eyeball it. Make sure you're lined up pretty well. Sweet, looks good. And then on this one, I think, what is that? 17 millimeter. Let's see, are they going on? Yep, going on. Very nice. And then how do you know when to stop? Probably pretty close to there. So usually what I'll do is kind of check the chain. So if you grab like some leaks and you kind of like kink them and you see like how easily, like how much pressure it takes to manipulate them, basically do the same thing with your master link. Take it over here. It should basically not kink. It should kind of free float. And so that way you're not over tightening the plate and over tightening, the O-rings and the pins. So that feels pretty solid. If I come over here and look, looks like there's a decent amount. And what I should have brought and I forgot, go get my calipers. So take a pair of calipers here. And just to get an idea. So if I measure, say like one of these right here, plate to plate, I'm about 660, 659 thousandths. And if I come up to the one I just pressed on, I'm about same thing, 659 thousandths. So if you have the feel for it, you can almost do it without, yeah, same thing, 658, 659, 660. Nice. Yeah, very nice. Okay. So that gives you one way, just like a perception or a way to how to torque those plates on. And then the other measurement that I like to do is kind of before and after on the pins. Go ahead and take a measurement there, about 201,000. I got some junk on there. Hold on. Kind of wipe off the grease. Kind of throwing off my reading just ever so slightly. So that one's actually about 205 thousandths. Interesting. That one's about, 204. Yeah, 204, 205. So basically I want to get like maybe 12 thousandths of flaring. So I'm getting about, if I'm starting about 205, I probably want to end like around 217, 218, probably just no more than like 220 of flaring. And this is like probably the more critical part of installing a chain that most people will kind of overlook. Those two parts there, setting the plates, and then obviously, torquing the pins. So my setup, it has a press, a conical shaped press or cone shaped, and then same thing on the back side to hold the rivet head in place. I'll just kind of line it up right there, and then same tool, 17 millimeter, wherever the heck I put that at. I do my 17. Oh, small shed, it couldn't have gone that far. Holy cow, lost my 17. Thought I just had it like 2 seconds ago. Oh, Jesus Christ. Nope, it's not in my pockets. Don't you just hate that when tools disappear on you? Where the hell did it go? It's probably like right here. I set it outside when I was walking. Huh. that fucker disappeared. I don't know what the hell I did with it. It's under the bike jack. Where'd it go? You guys saw it? Oh, fucking A. Dope. Oh my god. Alright. So usually key of thumb right here, I do like 3/4, so like 2 or 3/3. Alright, and then back that off. Go up here to the top one. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then same thing, remeasure. See where I'm at. So barely moved. Yeah. Time to crank those fuckers down. Okay. Depends on the type of chain and how hard it is. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's a couple more than that. Okay, I can feel it there. Good point too is just like, when you're putting a good amount of force and then it starts to stop, like right there, usually means you're pretty close. Okay, so that's about 212 thousandths. It's about 212. It's only got about 6. Usually they expand a little bit more than that. Let me see if I can get like one more good crank on them. These are some hard pins right here. I just try to be careful. I'd rather use caution. I've seen a lot of people usually over crank them and then end up cracking them. So I'd rather, just kind of do it by feel. If it takes a couple extra minutes, not a big deal. And I think I just broke my tool right now, the tip of it. Didn't damage that, but no, not completely. It looks like it just kind of, a little bit of shock there. Okay. Double check it, see where I'm at. Okay. There we go. Yeah, about 217. This one's about 218. Perfect. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So that puts it like right around 12 thousandths of flaring, which I think that's pretty good. And then I'll get a little fancy. I like to do this one in red. All right. Okay, sweet. So then now pretty much I can put the tire back down and adjust the chain with under the weight of the bike. And then the next probably more important thing is going to be to torque that front sprocket nut. And we'll see. Hopefully it's not too tricky. That's what I'm going to try to knock out right now. So let's see. Put away these tools here. Okay. Nice. All right, cool. So I'm gonna put in first gear. Should be all the weight on the bike. And then hopefully the batteries are good in this. Oh no, so I took the batteries out. Probably did that intentionally. Oh. Okay, so this bad boy wanted 147 newton meters. Already got a little bit of grease oil solution on the nut and output shaft threads. Okay, 147 newton meters. All right, very nice. See if I can get it without having to I'm gonna have to hold that. Let's see, how do I normally do this? Usually when I have another person in the shop, I ask them to hold the rear brake caliper or the rear brake lever so then I can go ahead and focus on doing this. But since I'm by myself, pros and cons. Well, let me see if I can do it this way. Some bitch. So I'll jack the bike up again. Okay. Tally ho. All right, cool. So now, let's see, am I going to need to go get like a little extension? Oh no. Huh. So this is the other way to kind of do it. Let's see if I can, without fucking punching myself in the dick. $153 newton meters. Good enough for the women I date. All right, cool. So much easier going on than fucking coming off. Easy money. All right, cool. So now, easier part, take a pair of some channel locks here and let's find a nice tab. Kind of bend over. Bam. And I want to say I've seen like a million of these. I mean, technically you're supposed to replace that, which would be very nice, but you know, to get this bike in and out back to the customer since they supplied the parts, you know, reusing it. I can't say I've ever had anybody hit me back up and like, oh, the front, you know, sprocket washer came off or whatever. It would take a considerable amount of force to unbend that tab right there that I just bent over. So, you know, this being torqued, it shouldn't come off. I know most mechanics would probably even put Loctite on that just for safety, but I'm not really too concerned about it. I mean, typically it's, it's good. So I kind of want to jack the bike back up. I don't like bending over to work on it. I think I can put the front sprocket cover back on now. Let's get this thing back up. Come on. Come on, baby. Working on bikes. Yeah. Okay. I think that's high enough. Let's see. Lift kind of leaks a little bit. Yep, that should be good enough. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and adjust the chain a little bit. Bring that out with a 12 millimeter. Let's see where we're at. And spec is supposed to be about 1.2 inches. You can go just ever so slightly under that on a new chain if you're careful, and depending, on how the customer rides. Just because it's usually gonna wear into place. Okay. So let's see, it tells you right here, measured midway between the sprockets on the lower chain run with the motorcycle and the side stand. So basically with, the bike under its own weight, sitting on the side stand here, that's a weight. But if you had it, up and down like this, basically come under here, just kind of push up right in the middle, I'm about 1 inch, and pull it down. So I'm like 2¼ inches. So I'm like way out of spec. I still need to keep going just a tad bit. And it doesn't take much once you almost get there. So I'm about 1 1/8, 1 1/4. So that's like 1 inch right there. Let me adjust the other one. We're just at the third indication mark. So it's, customers should be able to get some adjustment out of this chain for a while. Too tight now. Oh yeah, too tight. So that's why you gotta adjust it kind of evenly. I want to go right back to the 3. Let's see where we're at over here. Like 2.5, almost 2 3/4 on this side. It's like 2 3/4. Let's see where we're at. So about 1 1/4, about 1.5. So it's about an 1.1 inches. So that's like 1.1, 1.50, give or take, just slightly. Once the chain kind of breaks in, it's going to kind of stretch and it'll be out of spec within the first 600 to 1,000 miles typically. Let me see, once I hold on. Still a little off on this one over here. Sometimes you can measure too. It's not super accurate on a bike like this. Like on Ducatis, they'll usually tell you to kind of measure with your caliper from the end of the swing arm to the axle block. Most mechanics usually just eyeball it though. Okay, that's a little bit closer to 1.2. All right. That looks pretty solid. Kind of like where my marks are. So go ahead and finalize that right there. Take my 212s. Okay, so that right before the indication mark. Same thing on this side. That looks good. Okay, very nice. Take my marker. Let's kind of mark them. Sweet. Okay, now time for this part. Kind of usually jack it back up a little bit. Why did I change that? Okay, get like right there. Stick a couple of rags in there. All right. Get our torque wrench back out. So axle nut is going to be a 127 Newton meters. We'll kind of load up the wheel, and that's to pull the axle adjusters against the blocks, make sure they're fully seated while I torque this. Everything looks good, nice and straight like it should be. Okay, should be good right there. And then spin around so I can check in another spot. Okay, back down under its own weight. So 121. Boom. I'm a little off. I'm at 127 right there. So would I rather over tighten it or under tighten it? Let's see how much it goes if I. It's 128, 132, 132. So depending on how accurate my torque wrench is, it's a Matco. Get it calibrated about once every year. It's about 5 Newton meters over, which isn't a big deal. So that should be lined up. I can go ahead and double check this, see where I'm at. Kickstand out of the way. Okay, yeah. So slightly tighter right here. But still, instead of being like closer to the 1.2, it's like 1.1, but that's fine. The second you take this thing out on a test ride, you know, it's gonna stretch out, and it'll be within that 1.2, you know, within the first couple miles. So that's good. I like that. All right, and that's kind of put a little bit of lube on that for the customer, just because it's kind of. All right. Yeah, nice. All right, cool. Let's put the front sprocket cover back on. Let's see, that's gonna go like this. There's a guide. Guide's kind of, oh yeah, it's bolted in so it doesn't come out. It's like kind of like a case saver. All right. That's not that one. Maybe on the top. Yep, that goes on the top. Goes on the top right here. Oop. Watch the radiator hose. Okay. Take the impact. Let's see. Workspace is getting a little crowded again. Ugh. Let's see. Oh. Okay. Alright, go ahead and torque them down by hand. Alright, boom. Alright, cool. That's that. So now I need a cotter pin. Should have some cotter pins outside in my containers. That's about it. Rear brake looks good. Chain adjusters. Go ahead and mark this right here. That's torqued. Just needs a cotter pin. chain tension set. Front axle nut torque, front sprocket nut torqued, covers on. That's pretty much it. I think there was one other thing. I had to change the battery. Let's see. No, wrong key. Maybe this key. Yeah. Here we go. If I'm not mistaken. Gotta take those off right there. Let's see. Looks like 4 millimeters, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, 3 millimeter. I mean, no, should I say, I had a 5, it's a 4. Okay. Let's see. Yep. Bam. This cover right here kind of pops off. Carefully watch the tab. All right. Huh. Thought there was a cable right here. Maybe that's on the newer models. Do I gotta take off these? Oh, it's not even bolted down, but it's underneath on this side over here. Huh. So I guess you do have to take off these fairings. Let's see how these unclip right here. Let's see, looks like they, yeah, kind of pop out like that. Does this whole thing have to come off? There's no way to get to the gas tank or to the huh. Those things missing hardware and stuff. Let's check the chat. Maybe somebody knows who's taking off the seat on their 13 ZX636. Which part am I doing wrong? Oh no, you guys are talking about bikes. All right, I'm going back to working. Let's see. Does this whole thing have to come off right here? Oh, okay. Oh, that kind of goes like that. That's what I kind of thought. Oh, okay. And that goes like that. I'm tripping. See, that's why it's nice. You got to be careful. You know, it's always nice to kind of take your time so you don't break anything. Okay, there we go. That gives me a little bit more access to what I need. I like to always be a little gentle with the bikes, you know, with the plastics. It's kind of hard to tell. I don't know if these are Chinese plastics or OEM plastics. Okay, there's the battery. And the terminals look super jacked up. Not too bad. So I think on the older ones, you had to take off part of there's like a little bracket. I think this one comes out a little easier, it looks like. Okay, old battery out, China battery. Okay, one China battery out, another China battery in. Okay, looks like they at least got the correct battery. Okay. So it looks like positive terminal, they had it like this. Ground side like that. Okay. Should be able to take this and just slide it in. Bam. Okay. Connect the positive side first. Screw is just a little shy. With the battery tender. Oh, perfect. Let's see. Battery's being a little difficult right now. Okay, let's see if I can get it with a pick. So basically with the battery tender attached, the bolt's just a little too shy in length to catch the nut on the bottom. If you guys have changed out your batteries before, you probably know what I'm talking about. But if I use a pick, oh, no. Did I get it? Yep, got it. Nice. Okay, positive down. Let's go ahead and wire up the negative side. See if I have to do the same thing with this one. Now it looks like it's going to be just long enough because of the angle. Bam. Okay. Like the battery strap. Very nice. All right, cool. Make sure our bike turns on. Oh, looks like they've had the ignition replaced at some point. Yeah, starts up. Woo! I'm a little smoky in here. Ugh. What's going on, guys? All right, cool. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'm gonna put that seat back on, and I think the bike's pretty much ready. Hold on really quick. Okay. Okay. There we go. All right, let's finalize this. I gotta take this thing for a test drive. Okay. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to attach my camera. All right, this thing only had one seat bolt in it. One seat bolt in, one seat bolt out. Okay, nice. Plastics are a little wonky on this thing. It's missing hardware, like I said. All right, cool. Put this cover on. Didn't need to take it off, it appears. On this one, I think that's on the newer models. You take this cover off to get access sometimes, or usually there's like a little pull string, a little pull cable. Guess it just depends on the year of the 636. Kawasaki changes it up every now and then. Okay, cool. Put these screws back in. All right, she done. Time to pull her off the lift and maybe go take it for a test drive or something. I think that's it. Okay. Yeah. Very nice. You go grab a cotter pin for that really quick. Let's see, does this one fit? Yeah, fits good enough. That should be fine. All right, cool. Yep, that's it, guys. I believe I am done with this. Chain sprocket's complete. And yeah, I think it's just time for a test drive. Let's see. Pull this thing out and get ready for a test drive here. Thanks for watching.